What's gotten you people offended? So you weren't upset when you nominated a guy with 4,000 lawsuits under his belt as a private citizen. You weren't upset when you nominated a guy who had a 40-year track record of screwing over the little guy just so he could make a buck. You weren't upset when you nominated a guy who had a record since the 80s of deep and questionable ties with Russia. You weren't upset when you nominated a guy who has palled around with every PDF file that we know of, and you excuse that. You weren't upset when you nominated a guy who looked at his daughter and said, you know, if you weren't my daughter, I would date you. You weren't upset when you nominated a guy who openly said that he likes to essay women whenever the opportunity comes up. You weren't upset when you nominated a guy who openly requested the assistance of hostile foreign governments to find dirt on his opponents so he could win. You weren't upset when after a YT supremacist rally, he said that there were plenty of good people on both sides. You weren't upset when he decided to escalate drone warfare all around the world, far exceeding what the Bush administration and Obama administration had done. You weren't upset when this guy used the office of the presidency to enrich himself and his family to the tune of billions of dollars from hostile governments. You weren't upset when this guy probably sold off national security secrets to the highest bidder. You weren't upset when he was credibly accused and adjudicated as a rapist. You weren't upset when he was convicted of 34 felonies for cooking his books. You weren't upset when he called immigrants rapists and killers. You weren't upset when this guy said that migrants and immigrants are poisoning the blood of the country. You weren't upset when he held a frigging Yahtzee rally in the middle of Madison Square Garden. But you got upset because somebody called you a name after you supported all of these things. Spare me the fake outrage.